When people see our photography, some find it very interesting, some find it just ugly and shameful, but we find that there is beauty in the decay.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Sean. Together we're two members of the Decay Photogroup, urban decay photographers. What we're doing here today is exploring an abandoned brick factory built in 1889, and it was in operation until 1989. We've been here before many times, but the entrances are always changing. It's a bit of a cat and mouse game with the owners. This entrance was sealed up a little while ago, and now it's partially open, and the entrances that we used to use are now sealed, so this one will do. Even though urban exploration is technically illegal because we are trespassing in these buildings, there still remains an ethic in the community that we don't damage the buildings, we don't break into the buildings, and we use the Sierra Club model of take only photographs and leave only footprints. And if possible, don't leave footprints because security can follow you. When you first enter a building, it's just an incredible experience. Even though these places were quite heavily used by a lot of people, oftentimes they haven't been seen in a number of years, and you're seeing them in a state that no one has seen before. You never know what you'll find.
A great example of that is in an old carbide plant that Sean and I were in. We actually came across an entire overturned school bus sitting on its side in the middle of a building. What is that doing there?
This type of photography takes us to any number of formerly prosperous parts of the country. Detroit or Buffalo, or what's commonly referred to as the Rust Belt cities. I went to university and I have a degree in urban planning, and that greatly influences my choice of photography styles. I have great respect for these towns that have suffered significant economic declines, and we try and document these spaces and hope for future prosperity that will come to these cities once again. One of the other things that we like doing when we come in these old industrial places is try and figure out how the process worked, what machinery did what. In this room that we're in now, this is where they would form the bricks. The clay would come in into these large surge bins here and would come out as a formed brick and then head off for firing in the next room. Straight ahead, you can see the old brick kilns. They are about 150 feet long. And you can see the old yellow pipes that carry the gas for the furnaces. And they just are tunnels of nothing now.
Tell me about this place.
I really don't know that much about it.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. These here are the cooling kilns. After the bricks were fired, they would be put in here to cool off before shipped out on rail to build the early parts of the city.
As you can see, there's a great amount of graffiti, which I'm not a great fan of, but it's a type of art in itself, so you've got to work with it because that's part of this community. What's great about this place as a photographer is the light is always changing in here. So you've got constant challenges. Constant changing shots on a regular basis. You can come in here 3 different times and get 3 different shots of almost the same thing. Again, you're mainly working with the darkness and with the light. I tend to like to work mostly with the darkness and try to bring the light out of it, where I think the majority of photographers do like finding the light and working with that. I tend to work the opposite.
When people think of abandoned buildings and urban decay, they think ugly. They think an eyesore. They don't think that there'd be any or much beauty in the decay, and we try and capture that and present it in an artistic and beautiful way.
So right now I'm setting up for a shot to try to incorporate this pipe. It's not too hard to find the beauty as far as I'm concerned anyway.
What I love about this place is that everywhere you look, it's a great shot. I mean, there's just so many details, so many interesting features. I mean, it is straight out of a post-apocalyptic movie or video game or something like that. It's just wonderful. I mean, a set designer would have to do nothing for this place to get it looking like it does. One of my favorite recent experiences was in Paris on my honeymoon. I was able to get permission from my wife to go explore some of the abandoned quarry tunnels, also known as the catacombs, under Paris. To access it, I made contact with a local cataphile, they call them, and you pop this 100-kilogram manhole cover on the side of the street, climb down 100 feet. There's some obstacles you have to get past, including, you know, bricked up walls that have tiny holes that you have to crawl through, and flooded sections. Parts of it are graveyards. I mean, it's an absolutely wonderful experience and one that I'll never forget. Right now I'm shooting with a beautiful Hasselblad camera. It's a medium format film camera, and it doesn't have a light meter or a timed exposure on it, timed long exposure. So I've got a light meter that I've got to use to find out how long to depress the shutter for, and 2, 3, and get the shots. What I love about using this camera is the size of the negative is absolutely enormous compared to 35 millimeter, compared to digital. And the quality of the image is just that much better as a result.
One great location that I got access to was an old psychiatric hospital. Happened to be a very thick fog that morning, which was perfect for a stealthy access into the building, and made for some nice diffused light once we got up onto the roof. And I've also got a wonderful shot from inside as well, which shows quite a bit of the decay and what basically happens to a building that sits for about 20 years.
Some of the details that we like to photograph in these buildings are, walls with layers and layers of peeling paint. They create color patterns that were never there before when the buildings were in use, and textures that were never there before. We look for artifacts and evidence of past human use of these buildings. In psychiatric hospitals, sometimes you come across patient records or, beds and wheelchairs, and anything that gives evidence to its past use is just excellent to find.
My head did touch the board, though.
Oh, you mean the nail, the rusty nail that was sticking out of the board?
That's the one.
Excellent.
Luckily, I do have wet naps with me.
You should probably use one. At least to get rid of the blood streak that's now on your head. You have had your tetanus shots? That's good. I don't remember the last time I had mine, so I may be dead by the time this airs. Whoa. I'm so scared. One of the fun things about this hobby is that you never know what you're going to find when you set out from the day. In this case, I've never actually been down in this tunnel, so you can see the tracks along the ground. The bricks would be on the carts ready to go out to the trains. Surprisingly, no graffiti in this tunnel. Oh wow, this is great. They must have just shut down operation before they could ship out. Man, these are wonderful. What a great find. The film that I have in this camera is a bit low sensitivity, so to take a shot without natural light, it would probably be about a half-hour exposure. So Matt's just going to grab a shot before we head on to the rest of the facility.
30-second exposure, f4. One thing I love about the digital medium is the ability to control the entire process from start to finish.
This little bridge here has a special meaning for my wife and I. Before we got married recently, we came here to shoot some of our pre-wedding photos, and we've got a nice shot of the two of us sitting on this bridge. We found an old vaudeville theater, ballrooms, old high schools. I mean, there's so many different types of buildings out there. There's always something new to find and new to explore. What I love about this spot here at the brickworks is all these pipes over the cooling tunnels converging. It gives this great sense of depth, and they remind me of the creature and alien that latched onto that guy's face. It's pretty cool. When people see our photography, they want to know why we are interested in this type of material. Some Some find it very interesting. Some find it just ugly and shameful. But we find that there is beauty in the decay, and we try and express that through our photography and bring it out and show people that there's some amazing sights behind the boarding if you just look for it.